Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we are going to be doing a review of the year while simultaneously looking at my collection. And I have to say, it has been a very interesting year because I have been a lot more selective when it comes to buying figures, partly because I don't have the frigging space for them, but also because there hasn't been a lot more that I've wanted. You see, I primarily focused on Hot Toys, and this year they've been more Marvel and Star Wars, and I'm not into collecting Star Wars. It's a very slippery slope for me. I like the original trilogy. I don't really like much else, and the more Star Wars stuff they do in my head, it kind of makes me feel like I don't think I like Star Wars. Not as a franchise, as a trilogy. Sure, I absolutely love the original trilogy, but going forward, just nothing stuck with me. So I don't really go in for all the new Star Wars stuff. All the new Marvel stuff has been a little bit up and down, a bit wishy-washy for me. So it's good for everybody else. They get to collect and enjoy the figures that they want. But for me, I've been able to be a little bit more controlled in what I order and pre-order and stuff. And I stopped pre-ordering. And I think that's going to catch up with me very, very soon, because I have a funny feeling, as people have said, they're going to do limited runs now. And they're going to go back to the old way of only producing what is pre-ordered plus a little bit more. They used to, like when they were doing the heyday of Marvel, we can look at all the Endgame stuff over there and it went crazy. They just started producing all the figures, and because they started producing all those figures and making, I don't even know how many they made, but they made massive batches of them. It became very easy to sit back and watch figures sit for ages on the shelves and, you know, buy them when you felt like it. But it used to be the case of, if you didn't buy a Hot Toy within the first few months of release, it got harder and harder very quickly to get them. And I think we're going to see a return to that very, very soon, especially now that the Marvel hype has died. But not only that, Star Wars has fans of one franchise, but maybe not fans of another. Some people love The Mandalorian. Some people like, well, no one likes the Book of Boba Fett. I'm lying to myself. But, you know, some people like Mandalorian. Some people like Andor. Some people like Rogue One. Some people don't. So there are collectors for each different sort of phase of Star Wars. So I don't think everybody's going to go straight. I mean, if they made a Luke Skywalker, Farm Boy Luke again, a Vader, a Han Solo and Chewie from the first film, yeah, they're going to sell to every Star Wars collector. But the new stuff, Andor, is only going to go for the Andor fans, Mandalorian for the Mandalorian fans, and all that. So honestly, I don't see us going back to the days of Hot Toys just producing shite loads of figures for each character. There's going to be more limited runs going forward. But with that in mind, let's actually just get on and start looking at my collection. Now, there's been a couple of jigs around. I've had a whole load of Marvel Legends go out of the collection. I've made a lot of space on these shelves up here just for my NECA Turtle collection, some of the Mezco horror collections over there, and also my my Turtle Monsters plus the Corpse Bride figures up there, and then random crap up the top. But yeah, the Marvel Legends, they're mostly concentrated over here on the windowsill and just on the heater here. That's how much space I've run out of. I've actually bought a Perspex sort of shelf that I put on top of my heater there, but the heater that barely ever comes on. It's such a small room, it never really needs to come on. But yeah, these are all the Marvel Legends that I've got, and you know, it's all the X-Men. It's the Age of Apocalypse X-Men there, mixed with some of the classic X-Men over there. You know, I'm pretty much done with the classic X-Men over here, and I'm pretty much done with the Age of Apocalypse stuff over here. They really did sort of half-ass that range. You know, some of them are really good figures like the Colossus, and some of them are just bleh, like the Scott over there, the Cyclops. That was a bit crap, but it really was a mixed bag. So I'm kind of glad. Let me move this lighting out of the way. This is the lighting I use for my filming over here. Sometimes you'll see that glaring off in the background, but yeah, I just use this to film at the moment. I do have a big old tripod stand, but I have trouble balancing the damn thing and getting it to, you know, level out properly. Sometimes my videos look like this, you know, it looks like the lair of a Batman villain's cave, you know. But yeah, that's just the way it is. But yeah, okay, let's just get on with it and show the collection. Okay, we're just going to start at the top shelf of my Marvels corner, and this is where I put all the sort of figures that kind of don't fit in with the ensemble shelves. But yeah, this is just a mixed bag of a Mark IV there, the Endgame alternate suits, Thor and Tony Stark over there, Punisher, sort of a custom Black Widow that I made. That a lot of people seem interested in that for some strange reason. I sort of threw together this Black Widow figure, and yeah, people seem to really like it. But then we've got this Mark V Racer Team Suit Tony that was made years ago. And now that they're bringing out the same from Hot Toys, it kind of is pretty cool. But he's got the Mark V head sculpt on there as well from the diecast. Another sort of mechanic Tony Stark. I think it's the Iron Man 3 mech test version. I forgot the name of it now, but yeah. Sorry, the Battle Damage Mark III. That's the really old Hot Toys version. And I sort of bought that in parts. And what ended up happening with that was I ended up like repainting the torso and buying these Mark II pants there and repainting it all and stuff. So yeah, it all works pretty well now. We've got the Mandalorian. Now that new one's just come out, the Chrome version. I won't be picking up that version. I'm very happy with this one. You know, it's a good representation of the Mandalorian on the shelf. But you know, I like the series, but it has its ups and downs for me. So yeah, I bought this because I had crap loads of reward points left from Sideshow and I wanted to get rid of them. So I decided to get this guy and pick him up. But he's always one of those ones on the shelf for me that I'll be like, if I need to do a swap or something, he'd probably be one of the ones to go. We've got One Punch Man figures there from 3-0. I really like One Punch Man. Series 1 was a fantastic series. If you ever get a chance to watch that, watch it. It's brilliant. And of course, we've got this sort of custom kit bashed Peter Parker at the back there. Again, that's one that I sort of just threw together with parts that I had from other figures. So I'm quite happy with it. And then we've got the Whiplash. This is the Toy Fair exclusive 2.0 version that they made recently. And that went really cheap. Like really surprisingly cheap at one point. So yeah, if you get a chance to pick this up, it is a nice figure. It really is. But I think the joints are what let it down a little bit. People like realism, and the jointed figures always tend to put people on the fence as to whether or not they're going to get them. But yeah, I do like it. I think it's brilliant. The Legend Creations Mark VI that I sort of kit bashed and put together and made a gantry out of. They've re-released the Mark III from Hot Toys, so yeah, that's probably the one to get now. Whereas this was just something, you know, I was putting lipstick on a pig basically because that figure fell apart and was absolute trash. So I tried to do something with it. I'm quite happy with the results. And then of course we've got some more Iron Man suits. We've got a Silver Centurion that are painted blue. We've got a Peacemaker or a Peacekeeper at the back. The original Silver Centurion, the first one ever hit my collection, 1/6 scale. Still love it to this day. It's brilliant. And then we've got, I've forgotten which one it is. It's Striker, but I've forgotten what's the name of it now because it's got a different name. But it's yeah, it's the Striker with the green paint job. But still, looks really, really good. And then we've got the Mandarin, which is still a seemingly underrated Hot Toy figure, even to this day. The details on it are fantastic. And then we've got Igor sitting there looking absolutely boss. Okay, and then coming down into my Avengers Assemble set. This is sort of like an ensemble of different figures that I put together. We've got Avengers Hulk there, we've got Vision, we've got Hawkeye, we've got Age of Ultron Black Widow, Age of Ultron Thor, Age of Ultron Cap. That's one of my favourite suits. I think it's sort of like, there's enough of the modern but also some of the classics with the reds and stuff. The colours pop a little bit more, so that's why I really still like that suit. We've got Ant-Man hiding on his shoulder there. We've got that custom kit bashed Winter Soldier that I made. We've got the Mark 45 there with Wasp. Still a really great looking suit. Some custom little pieces from the Age of Ultron set there. We've got Cajun Card Dealer Gambit, which is just, come on, that when that came out, that was absolutely amazing. Suso Toys nailed it. They did a better job than the licensed Sideshow version. But looking at the new Rogue that they've teased, it's like, oof, how the mighty have fallen, you know, it just doesn't work so well. We've got Peggy Carter at the back there. We've got Homemade Spider-Man just here. We've got the original Winter Soldier Falcon. We've got an Iron Legion figure. We've got a custom sort of made 11x Kai, is it? Loki in the suit from Ragnarok. We have the Mark 46. Now this is the new version with the new stand. I absolutely love that stand. That is a fantastic base, honestly. It looks great. It really does fit well with the figure. It just gives it a bit more elevation and makes it look a little bit more, I don't know, it just gives it a little bit more. That's the best way I can describe it. It gives it a little bit more. I can't remember which figure this come from. I'm not sure if it come from the Age of Ultron version or if it come from, maybe not the Infinity War one, but yeah, it came anyway. So I've just hung that on there just to add a little bit more detail, sort of signify the civil war between him and Cap. And then of course we've got Nick Fury, we've got Noir Spider-Man, we've got Anti-Ox Spider-Man again. They do really good work with Spider-Man bases for some reason. I don't know why, but they go nuts. One of the things that bugs me about this figure is the sort of creasing around the collar here. It's hideous and I can't get rid of it. There's nothing I can do that gets rid of that. It just bunches up there and stays. And it bugs me. And of course we've got the Mark 1 Ultron just there. And the big old Ultron at the back. We have Crossbones, that's a third party figure, but it still looks good. Of course we've got Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Stan Lee. We have Deadpool in the house, and unfortunately Deadpool has seen better days. He has the knee pad issue. And this is, bearing in mind, this is England. I haven't had really bad sort of humidity or anything, but you can see that knee pad is coming away pretty rapidly from his leg. And I've tried gluing it down, but it's just not happening, I'm afraid. Of course, we've got Heimdall there. And then we've got Captain America in that Iron Patriot suit that I've kit bashed together with a Legend Creations figure. Again, it was lipstick on a pig. It was a really horrible figure. So I figured I'd repaint it, give him the vertical stripes on his belly, and then put a head sculpt in the helmet. And then at the back we've got a Chitauri soldier, and we've also got Spider-Man here, and this is the Night Monkey Spider-Man, but I also got that base with him. Finally I picked this up. I love it. This is one of the best bases I've ever seen with a hot toy. It's just so much character in it, and then when it lights up it looks even better. Sadly you have to take this all up and turn it on at the bottom. Why? What a stupid place to put the switch, you know. You don't want to be picking this up every 5 minutes to turn the switch on and off. So, you know, these types of things I would like Hot Toys to go forward and think a little bit more of. Maybe, just maybe, think about putting switches in more easily accessible places, because underneath on the base just isn't really that good. Oh, but let's turn it on for a minute and just leave it there, because it genuinely does add something a little bit more to the figure. Love it. Okay, and then coming down we've got our Infinity War Endgame shelf, and overwhelmingly I absolutely love this lineup. That Thanos is absolutely brilliant, but it just looks really good on the shelf and the paintwork is exceptional. And then we've got Black Widow, we've got the custom Hawkeye that I made. It's Endgame Hawkeye, but he's obviously got Anakin's arm there because it matches with the colours of his costume and stuff. So yeah, I absolutely love that. It works really well. And then we come down, we've got Doctor Strange. That's the first one from the first movie. No need to pick up any more Doctor Stranges. They all look incredibly similar, to be honest. And we've got the Mark 50 here. I never bought the accessory set, so I just put what he had on him. And that's about it. And that's probably the first time I've used that head sculpt on a figure. I normally let the Iron Man suits have a full Iron Man mask on, but for some reason I really wanted this guy to show his face. And then we've got Thor there from Infinity War. The work they put into the torso with the light up features and the eye patch and everything just works so well. Brilliant. And we've got Red Skull at the back there from Infinity War and Endgame. We've got Iron Spider. Again, it's semi-nice looking figure, but there are some flaws in it that does bug me. And partly it's that sort of suit that they gave him, you know. I think there's a die-cast Iron Spider waiting in the wings somewhere in Hot Toys. And they're just waiting for all the hype to die down, and then one day they're going to announce a die-cast Spider-Man. You watch. And then we've got Mark IV War Machine, which if you've ever followed my channel, you'll know the story behind that. Sideshow gifted me that figure, not because they wanted me to review it or anything, but because my wife, they were doing like the Christmas giveaway thing where they give back, and she wrote into them and wrote a lovely letter to them about me and stuff, and they sent me this figure for free. for no other reason than it was Christmas. So what a super nice gesture from both Sideshow and my wife. And then we've got Mantis at the back there. They've just announced one from Hot Toys, which looks great. And I really like all the Christmas stuff that they've got on there, because that is amazing. Because I really want something festive for the collection. So I'm really considering picking that up, especially as I think that might be a slightly more limited run. So they may in actual fact sell out of that one pretty quickly. So yeah, if I was going to pick that one up, I'll probably pick it up once it's released. And hopefully it doesn't run out. Captain. Now this is probably one of the ones that people dislike the most in some of the more modern Hot Toys, but yeah, I actually like it. I do like the head sculpt. I think it looks great. It doesn't bother me that people say that his top lip looks a bit fat and stuff. It doesn't bother me at all, because I can still see it looks like facial hair rather than like a fat lip. So I'm fine with it. And he fits, and he just looks awesome on the shelf there. And we've got Scarlet Witch there. That's the Fire Toys KO version, which is, it does the job for me. I don't need much more than that. I didn't need to spend £250 on Scarlet Witch. I spent, 120? And I've got Scarlet Witch on my shelf, and she looks great there, and I'm more than happy with it. And then, of course, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp from the film Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they look great. I still maintain that the original Ant-Man suit was the best, but for some strange reason they moved off and made him look more streamlined. Tried to squeeze in a little bit more Iron Man-y stuff in there, and it was just like, well, I'd rather you just stuck with that sort of really cool sort of 50s steampunk aesthetic. There was like tubes and stuff going through the suit. It looked way better, I think. Gave him a lot more personality and sort of separated him a bit more from everybody else. We've got Nebula, still a great looking figure, but considering she has a robotic arm, why isn't it double jointed? There was no reason to make it single jointed like that. It's just weird. You could have got her in more extreme poses and more cooler poses if they'd just given her a double jointed arm. Maybe they're saving that for the 2.0. They probably will put one out, and then it'll be a lot better than this one. Probably have split cut boots and everything. Bastards. Anyway, we've got Rescue. Really like Rescue. She's great. Die cast. Quite a good bit of weight on her, and I'm glad to have a Pepper Potts in the collection. So this works really well for me. And then we've got the Mark 85. And that, again, is still a great suit. I wish I'd probably got the battle damage version. But again, it's sort of like I'd already pre-ordered this and paid for it. So I don't really need the battle damage version. It's just not worth it for me. Especially as most people will only put it in one pose and one pose only. And that's where it can stay. Whereas this guy can go in that pose if you want. But also he can do others. So coming back, I missed out in-game Widow. And I'm waiting for the normal Black Widow from her movie to come out and be a bit more readily available, because I want the split cut boots. That's the only thing I want from her, is the split cut boots. Maybe I'll get the head sculpt as well, but I just want split cut boots on this, because I think that'll work so much better and you can get her in slightly more fun poses. We've got Rocket. Looks cool, doesn't he? I've used some of his accessories on other figures. I'll show you in a minute. But then we've got the Iron Patriot 2.0 right there. That is such a beast of a figure, and he went so cheap. Like, that is such a really good figure for the price that he was going for. Honestly, you can't really argue for the price I paid. Worth every penny. And of course we've got Endgame Cap, which is basically everybody's cap now, I think. Loads of people have this figure, and there's probably going to be more. And then of course we've got Ronin, and we've got Gamora. Then we've got Star-Lord standing behind them, ready for action. Then we've got a concept art Cap. And the third newest figure in my collection at the back there is Endgame Hulk. You can just about see him behind everyone because I've sort of overloaded this shelf a little bit. But honestly, give me a minute, because I want to come in and have a bit of talk about him, because I did do a review for him. So I might as well get what I wanted to say about him out of the way now. And I can say that without a shadow of a doubt, this was the most disappointing figure of the year for me. Absolutely. The head sculpt's fine, I haven't got a problem with that. But he articulates for crap. He just can't bend or move. That suit restricts all movement. There's nothing to him. And the fact that his character in the film was a bit of a damp squib, to be honest, it kind of you know, put a kibosh on everybody loving that character to begin with. But the fact that the figure came out and it really felt like they were just getting it out there. It did not feel like they were putting love into that thing, and you can't blame them, to be honest. So the fact that he's kind of going on sale now makes sense, but he's still not cheap enough for a lot of people. I just ended up buying him because I just kept, like, for about a year and a half, I kept watching and watching and waiting for sales to pop up, and kept waiting and waiting and waiting. Then the end of the year came up and I was just sick to death of check it in and check it out. And then I saw him for the price that I thought was fair, which is about $250, and I bought him up. And within a week and a half from purchase, he was in my house. So considering I bought it from Hong Kong, that's a really, not only a good price, but good shipping as well. So yeah, I'm tempted. I might be trying that seller again very, very soon in the future. Depends on if they've got anything I want. And then of course we've got Armored Thanos, and that is a super imposing figure. It doesn't matter, like I was slagging him off for not being articulated, but this guy has a little bit more articulation if you really want it. But also just the design and the sort of armor and all the rose gold and on the armor and stuff just work really well to separate everything and give him sort of like detail that you can really impress by. Whereas Endgame Hulk looks, you just look at him and think, well, that's a very vanilla figure. But then you look at Thanos and his grandiose sort of armor and stuff, and you're like, oh, that looks like they put some work into that. So yeah. Okay, and then just coming over here to this shelf, you can see Hulkbuster is still there, and he's still bowing my shelf in. But then we've got Stan Lee from Ragnarok there, and we've got all the Ragnarok figures here. We've got Thor, Hela, Loki, and we've got Gladiator Hulk. And that thing is impressive. That thing just looks amazing. It's still one of my favourite figures in the collection. I did order the Endgame Loki. Wasn't so impressed with it. You know, the 2012 Loki. Wasn't so impressed with it, but I'm happy with this guy on the shelf. He can be my Loki representation, and that's fine by me, because it was probably one of my more enjoyed films in the MCU was Ragnarok. And then coming across up here at the back, you can see we've got some just random shelf of figures I picked up over the last few years. The Too Good Code Gantry for the 112 Iron Man. It's still a nicely detailed small scale figure, but I think ZD Toys has done one now as well. So who knows, maybe I'll pick that one up. But it's still like £100, and I'm not sure if I want to spend £100 on ZD Toys, you know? We'll see. And then of course we've got the new 52 Batman. We've got Bill and Ted. Now those Bill and Ted figures are just crap. Honestly, they're crap. I mean, the face sculpts aren't very good to begin with. The clothing is a bit baggy and a bit sort of like thick, so it makes them look like they're wearing big thick pajamas. But the ankles are awful as well. A lot of those clothed NECA figures have these awful ankles that just move forward and back. They don't have any sort of pivot or anything. They're terrible. And then of course we've got that little spaceman guy that I got. SHF 89 Batman and the Figma Iron Man Mark 7. And we've got War Machine Punisher. We've got Whiplash 2.0. One of my newest figures, the Mark 1 die-cast War Machine. This thing is absolutely amazing. If you've ever followed my channel, you'll know that I have always said my biggest regret was not buying War Machine Mark 1 when he first went up. He was just sitting at Sideshow for months and months and months, and I kept procrastinating on it. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Maybe I was trying to save money or just focus my collection a little bit more. But as soon as he went out of sale and I really wanted him, he was no longer there, and he was scalper prices all the way. And I regretted it so badly. So when he went back up for a reissue, it was a no-brainer for me. It was the one that I said that I would easily pre-order day one if they put it back up. They did, so I did, and I have no regrets. My only regret being that I didn't get him earlier, because it's fantastic. We've got some neon techs at the back there that went on sale. Of course they went on sale. If you didn't have the blue one, why would you buy the yellow and the War Machine? You probably wouldn't. So yeah, these sat on shelves for a while. And then of course we've got the Mark 50 neon tech, which is the best one. Really is the best one to date. And it kind of works because it matches the suit he wore at the start of Infinity War. So yeah, I really do like that figure. It looks really good. And then of course we've got the Mark 43 that fits in the Hulkbuster. Still one of my favourite suits in the MCU. It's just the Mark 42 with more cherry red stuff on it, which you can't complain about. And then of course we've got Midas. And you saw my review on that. I picked that up on sale as well. I wasn't going to, but then it came in at that right price point for me. Nabbed it. And I don't regret it. This is ostentatious to the max. This thing looks phenomenal. I absolutely love it. But yeah, it is a scratch magnet, so be very careful with it. And then of course we've got Stryker hiding in the back there, just because I didn't have any space for him. And I want to make room because I've got the zombie Iron Man coming, Mysterio's Illusion. So I made space over here on the shelf next to Mandarin for that one. And then we've got the 7 initial suits from the first few films, and we've got the Mark 1. Now this is one that they've reissued as a diecast, and I'm not picking that one up just because I'm still happy with this one and it works well. The paint application is fantastic. I know I'm going to regret that once the diecast version comes out, but for me, still an absolutely banging figure. And then we've got the Mark 2 hiding behind Mark 2 Unleashed. Still better than the diecast for me. The silver isn't as chrome, sure, but the details, look at the details in these legs. You can't tell me that that weren't worth the sacrifice of that chrome and the weight of the diecast. You can't tell me. The details on these boots and all the arms and the chest area are still impressive for today's standards. We've got the original diecast Mark III, one of the first figures I reviewed on the channel, as I recall, back in the day when it first came out. And now they're reissuing it. Oh no, they're remaking it, shall we say, for a 2.0, and that is going to be really good because I think they're going to correct all, because you can see here, like, this was always a bit too barrel chested, you're very rounded and stuff here, but they're going to rectify that now and give him a darker cherry red, I think, more in line with the red for the Mark V. Then we've got the Mark IV here, the plastic version. Again, there was a few plastic ones that I didn't need diecast versions of, the Mark IV and the Mark VI. If you gave me a choice, I would always go with a Mark III and a Mark V in diecast. And that, you know, if I had to make a choice, then yeah, definitely those two. I know loads of people love the Mark VI and they think that's their favourite one, but for me, Mark V and Mark III win hands down. And then of course we've got the Mark VII. Yeah, I wasn't going to pick this up, but then once I saw all the reviews for it, I was just like, my god, that thing is just next level. It's fantastic. Even the satin finish matches more better with the film. So yeah, definitely worth picking that one up. And then coming down, we can see on this shelf we've got all our NECA turtles just hiding at the back here. You're gonna have to forgive me because my computer screen is hiding a lot of the figures, but that's because I need the space for work now, so the computer screen is needed for my job. And then of course we've got all the NECA figures down here as well, the bad guys. We've got that Hela 1/12 collective figure from Mezco. We've also got ourselves a King Kong at the back there. I think that's Mezco as well. Not sure, but it might be. We've got this Fig MacGyver. Now that is Max Factory Fig MacGyver. I love it. Absolutely love it. There's not enough Guyver stuff out there now. And then of course we've got that Great Twins Terminator, which it's, you know, it's a very special one-off now considering the way Great Twins went. They went the way of the dodo. So yeah, to get one figure from them is pretty cool. And then of course we've got, is it Greta? From Gremlins 2. How'd you get yourself like a drag gremlin? Gotta have it. Then coming down, we do have ourselves the Dude. The old Duderino. If you're not into the whole brevity thing. And then we've got the ZD Toys Hall of Armor at the back there. I've just turned all the lights on because I forgot to earlier on, but yeah, they work really well. And then we've got the holographic Iron Man on the suit up gantry, which you could always, you know, that Mark IV I've got on the top shelf, I could always swap it over and put the Mark IV back there. But yeah, I'm okay with that holographic Iron Man in there. It kind of fits really well and it adds to the collection. And then of course we've got this ZD Toys War Machine. You're going to have to forgive any dust you see, because I've dusted most of these shelves, but unfortunately, where I'm working in here all the time, the dust gets everywhere. So yeah, unfortunately there is a bit of dust in here today. And then of course we've got some windowsill figures just on the side here, mostly Marvel Legends. We've got Surtur at the back there, which is a really nice figure. We've also got Ironmonger And we've got Heavy Metal Batman, which is just such an awesome figure. Bat out of hell style, you know? Love that. It just looks so imposing on the shelf. And then we've got Azrael and another Batman there. And then up the top here, we have just some random figures, some Transformers, a knockoff Predator, Venom, a Deadpool, a White Widow, and the Mark III Battle Damage ZD toys, which I just shoved up there just to make some space because they were getting all over my shelf and wrecking the place. And then of course we've got all the Spider-Man hanging down from that shelf, except for these guys who fell off because the hook couldn't keep them on there. They're a little too heavy for what I wanted to do, so I just shoved them there for the moment. And just quickly, just before we move on to the other wall, here are the corner shelves with the Corpse Bride figures from McFarlane. Still some of the best small scale painted figures I've ever seen in my entire life. Genuinely, absolutely amazing. They look like they came straight out of the film. And then of course we've got a few Marvel Legends on the back shelf there with a couple of KO 112 collectives. I haven't finished filling up that shelf yet. I don't know what's going to be put there, but it's probably going to be something really cool. And then of course we've got the 112 collective figures. I got rid of most of the comic book versions and mostly now stick to the horror movie icons from Mezco, except for the Ragnarok figures, they're staying. But yeah, I really like those sort of Mezco ones. They did a really good job on those, so I'm going to keep collecting those. I think Leatherface is coming soon, and the Crow. We've got more NECA turtles at the back there, just random. I think they're all KOs. No. These ones on the end here are real official NECA figures with the dark green rather than the light promo green that they were selling. Promo greens are over on the other shelf because they're a lot more colourful. But yeah, mostly the NECA KOs, which I don't care what anyone says, they're not KOs. They're just as good a quality as the originals. Genuinely, I wouldn't say that if it weren't true. And they're banging. So yeah, if you get a chance, pick those up because they're really good. And we've got the Marvel Legends Rider shelf, which I really feel like. But I haven't picked them all up. I think I'm missing Wolverine. But yeah, I do like a bit of motorbike action. And then we've got the movie NECA Turtles at the back here, including the musical tour lot, which is just so kitsch and weird that I had to grab them. Just so odd. And then of course we've got some NECA monsters and NECA, I think it's the Turtles Ronin figure. But then we've got the NECA monsters. I do have Splinter as well, and I was going to review him, but I just didn't have the energy. I didn't like it. So I just decided to probably best not to review it, because all I'm going to do is slag it off and call it lazy, even though they've probably put a lot of work into it. And then of course we have this Justice League Batmobile, and this is the remote control one that they were selling. You know, the one with the camera in it and everything that blew everybody away. And I think it was like 250 quid when it first came out. But I got this for about 95 quid, I think, on sale. And it's so worth it. And then I just stuck loads of my Mezco Batman figures on there. They're just posed around on it now. So yeah, I do like that. Okay, and now we've got some custom kit bashes on top of my details there. We've got Fong Sai Yuk, Fist of Legend. We've got that weird figure that I just put together randomly with bits I found off AliExpress. Yeah, I had fun with it, I guess. And then we've got a Red Hood there. And then we've got a Ronin Wolverine that I kit bashed together myself. But I still like to this day, to be honest. Still probably one of my best kit bashes. And then of course we've got Jack Sparrow, we've got Edward Kenway, and we've got Captain of the Octopus, also known as Davy Jones. Love those figures. They are fantastic. And then coming down we have Steampunk Jack the Ripper. This is one of my favourite setups in the whole collection. That diorama piece at the back is epic. And you can see just how awesome this whole setup is. The details are just fantastic because they were free to just do whatever they wanted. They didn't have any licensing to be tying them up. So they just went nuts with it. They had a great time. And they corrected some mistakes with the prototype. They failed with some things as well from the prototype, but mostly they produced a great figure overall. And then down here where the lights have broken, I have to fix the LED on that. But you know when you're just sort of stuck there and you're like, oh, we'll get round to it, but it's a lot of effort. Is my Arkham Knight Batman series. We've got Joker, we've got Harley Quinn, we've got Deathstroke, and we have Batman. Still awesome. And then down the bottom here we have a Jack Skellington diorama piece with a few sort of the Marvel Select figures with June planning stuff. Nightmare Before Christmas. I was really lucky this year. I got to meet Danny Elfman in the flesh. Got my photo taken with him and everything. I know that's, you know, something a lot of people do. They go to conventions and have photos taken with famous people. I don't really do that, but my wife bought me this golden ticket for the Nightmare Before Christmas live show this year. We've been already once before, but she bought it again for this year. She got the access, all access VIP one where we went backstage and met Danny Elfman and stuff. Oh, honestly, I've never geeked out more in my entire life. Never in my entire life have I geeked out and gone a bit weird as the day I met Danny Elfman. Yeah, I sort of giggled a little bit and sort of, it was great. Loved it. It's one of the memories of my life, honestly. And yeah, my wife's awesome for that. But coming down, you can see we've got some Blitzway Hunters, and you can see Dr. BB is at the back there for the moment. Why is that? Because there is a lovely little space here waiting. Because they've just announced that the 4th Blitzway Hunter is shipping. I've paid it all off, and now I'm just going to be sitting here waiting for him to turn up, and you know I'm going to do a video on that once it does. I've done it for all of these guys, and I'm definitely going to do it for that one. Yeah, these are some of my favourite figures in the collection. Just the details, the design, the artwork, the paintwork, it's all so damn impressive. These are fantastic, fantastically epic and weird as well. So yeah, look forward to that because I'm definitely going to review those. And that's a custom Kit Bash Hunter I made myself using parts that I've got just from everywhere. And I made her a gun, and I made her just all that clothing, sort of weathered all the clothing and made it all dirty, weathered up that t-shirt. Just I used little tips and hints and tips from other customizers, including Snowcorp. Borgmore, thank you very much for your help. You are awesome, and one day I will own one of your figures, but it's just finding the time and the money to put aside and get one, my friend. But yeah, you do awesome work. And then of course we've got Hellboy. This is the Legend Creations KO Hellboy, and you can see he's a little bit smaller, but that's okay, it's fine. I did some work to him, some bits and bobs, and now I absolutely love that figure. Got the X-Files, Mulder and Scully. One of the best 90s shows ever. I absolutely love that show, even today. I'll occasionally watch it even now, and I just think it's fantastic. And of course we've got Evil Dead, Ash Williams. Now this was one that lots of people had a lot of problems with. They really, really did not like it. And I can see and understand why. The initial pictures that were coming out did not help its case whatsoever. They just sent out like parts of figures that weren't there. Hair was missing off of diorama pieces. Just some of it just wasn't very good. The arms were terrible. The seamless arms were just a bit of rubber over a stick. Thin rubber as well, so they just do not look right if you bend them. And even when you don't bend them, they look a bit sausagey. Is probably the best way I could describe them. But yeah, I took just all the normal bits from this guy and put him together, and I am super happy I did. I added a little bit more blood effects to the head, not a lot, just used some Tamiya Clear Red just to really gloss it up a bit more, and it works fantastically. And that's what I did. And that diorama piece is fantastic. It kind of encompasses the whole film in one. You know, you've got the basement, you've got the shack at the back, you've got his girlfriend's head in the vice. You know, the only thing that would have worked a little bit better is if they had that laughing stag head on top there. But other than that, this is a fantastic piece. And when you look at it, it's just like, oh my crap, that's like Evil Dead just shrunk down. The whole, not just the character, but the feeling of the movie as well. So I personally think they did a really good job of it overall. But I can see why people had initial problems with it when I think their prototype was just a little bit too over-promisey. And that's the problem I think some of these companies have got. They over-promise on a prototype when really they should just try and make a figure that they know they can actually produce in large quantities and sell and advertise that, and people will be way more happier. So I think Asmus learned a lesson from that. And then of course we've got Man of Steel Superman with a custom head from 1/6 kit, which is one of my favourite places to shop. They never let me down. And we've got Steampunk Red Sonja. You know I like a bit of steampunk. So yeah, this whole setup, I love it. Love it absolutely. It's one of my favourite figures in the collection. She just looks awesome. Just so cool. I gave her that sort of crossbow that I think she got from I got it from, what's that Van Helsing film? Pop Toys made a Van Helsing figure, and I think it's called Monster Hunter or something, and it looks very steampunky. It's got like little gas cylinders at the back there, so it works really well with this figure. So yeah, just bought her that and it looks fun. And then of course we've got that Warrior Guard at the back there from TV League. I've forgotten the name of it already, but you know, there's so many figures at the moment. So if something doesn't come to me right away, forgive me. There's a lot going on in my head while I try to film this. And then we've got this Lady Death figure. Now people have said it's not Lady Death. Lady Death's from the comic books, and I'm like, I know. But she is a Lady Death. She's a lady, and she's dressed like Death, with a wreath, with a scythe and everything. So what do you want from me? But yeah, I gave her this sort of like gas lantern that I found on AliExpress, and I like it overall. I'm just a little bit let down that they didn't stick with the screen printing, and I'm pretty sure they showed it in prototypes and it looked like it was screen printed, but they then went with sort of like a transfer on there instead, which makes it look a little bit cheaper. But it still looks good, just as long as you don't study it too hard. And then of course you've got C-3PO and the Sphero R2-D2 hiding behind there that I weathered and made him look nice and dirty. And they work really well with this Vader, and that's the Sideshow Vader. I'm fine with that. I don't need anything more than that to represent my love of Star Wars. You got Vader, you've got the two droids, you don't need anything else, and that's why I've just not gone down that road too much, because if I did, it would be an ever-ending buying problem. And then we've got the 4 Ghostbusters by Blitzway. All awesome figures in their own right. Some of the head sculpts are a little better than others, but overall, just when you look at them on the shelf together, you're like, God damn, that's awesome. And then we've already showed these guys. These are my latest reviews. We've got Tomb Raider there in her Expedition outfit. I love that figure. It looks great. Has its niggling problems, but when you actually put it on the shelf, the aesthetics, the look, the design are all top notch. And then we've got Nightcrawler there, which is an okay figure. I've already been very explicit about that. He's not an amazing sort of representation of Nightcrawler, but he is good, and he's good enough for me. And then I kit bashed this steampunk lady at the back here from a set I saw on 1/6 kit, and then sort of like a head sculpt from AliExpress and stuff, which is like the black-haired version of this lady down here. But I think it's YM Toys, and we got Marty. Do you know, I was so convinced I was getting Doc Brown for Christmas from my wife. I was so convinced. I made space next to him for it. I was convinced, no matter what, that my wife was laying down hints, and I was like, it's Doc Brown, it's Doc Brown, it's definitely Doc Brown. Then when I opened up my present, oh, it's AirPods. Oh, whoops. So yeah, I don't have Doc Brown in the collection yet. But to be fair, the head sculpt ain't great, is it? Yeah, so who knows? It may not end up in our collection. And then there's this Kit Bash Elite here that I put together from all different parts, including some goggles that I found on eBay, and that's Rocket's sculpted scarf on her there. And then she's got like an Iron Legion figure, sort of all battle damaged and mashed up, but by her feet. And she's got holding his arm in her hand like she just pulled him apart. Yeah, I absolutely love that now. So there's always a place you can use your other diorama pieces if they don't fit on your Marvel shelf. You'd always find another place for them. And then of course we've got Hot Toys Elite, one of my favourite figures that was released that year. I'm really looking forward to that sort of rollerball version that's coming out soon. And then we've got Susu Toy Rorschach at the back there. They nailed that. It's a really good figure. And then we've got the Red Man Dracula figures at the back there, including Mina. And they look great together, to be honest. I'm really super glad I got those. And then we've got Tyler Durden from Fight Club from Blitzway. Blitzway have been very, very calm when it comes to releases lately. They've just not doing as many anymore. And I genuinely thought they were going to step up and challenge Hot Toys. But they've really backed away from 1/6 scale a lot. Like, they're just not into the like movie icons anymore. And they even cancelled some recently, so who knows, maybe Blitzway will come back and make more figures, but at the moment they seem to be a bit quiet on that front. And then of course we've got Super Mad Toys Scream, which I've done a review on, slacked it off entirely, but I did some work on it, yeah, and I'm happy with it now. And then of course we've got Craft One's Jack Torrance just there. We've got Ripley. You'd think they would have gone a bit more further down the Aliens route, but they backed away from it again now. I think all the licensing was up in the air once Disney nabbed up all the IP. And then of course we've got this third-party Hannibal Lecter figure. Still one of the best bargains I ever bought. So still super happy with it, even now. And then of course we've got the Sideshow Beetlejuice. And you know what I think of that head sculpt. The rest of it is brilliant. And then we've got Sweeney Todd. And then we've got a custom sort of One Punch Man that I put in his chair getting a haircut. Big fan, big fan. He loves his really close shaved as our One Punch Man. And then we've got Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow. And I do have both Edward Scissorhands on pre-order. You know I was going to get those. There was no argument there. And then I'm just going to put them both together, hopefully, and get one really, really good quality figure. Unless they both shit the bed and then we're all in trouble. But yeah. Coming up, we've got our 80s movie icons. We've got Schwarzenegger as Terminator. DX-13, love it. Commando, one of my favourite films of all time. We've got Immortan Joe. We've got Mad Max, and we've got Furiosa at the back there. And of course we've got RoboCop. This guy is amazing. I know they're doing RoboCop 3 now. Don't need it. Got this guy. Super happy. The only one I would really want now is that battle damage version, the maskless battle damage version. Other than that, not interested. We've got 3-0 Rambo. Still a really good figure. I was so impressed with that when it first released. Honestly, it was so much better than the prototype that they were teasing. But I will say he does have really big arms for like Rambo. Like he's close to Schwarzenegger biceps, and Sylvester wasn't that big. He was big, but he wasn't that big. So I think, especially as they reused him for the first Rambo film, and he was a lot more slight in that movie. So I don't, the arms don't work as well. But yeah, for this figure, it's superimposing on the shelf and looks great. And then we've got Jackie, and you know what I'm going to say. Why don't we have more Jackie Chan figures? What's wrong? Why is there not like a billion Jackie Chan figures out there? This is the only full one we've ever really gotten. It's criminal. It's criminal. One of the best and most important action stars. Anyway, I'm going to bang on about it forever. And then we've got Die Hard at the back there. Bruce Willis. And we have the original Hot Toys Crow. I do like that Sideshow one, but I don't know. This just feels better to me. Even now, like Sideshow had the chance to nail it and absolutely do away with this one and embarrass it completely, but they haven't. They really haven't done like a better job. So yeah, this one's staying in the collection. Love it. And then of course we've got this Present Toys Indie that was recently released. Still love it. Yeah, he's definitely worth picking up if you can get him. And that real leather jacket is just a chef's kiss. And then we've got John Wick, a custom kit bash with a Susu Toys head sculpt, which isn't the greatest, but the suit is fantastic from Fire Toys. Super happy with that, although I probably should have just kept the Hot Toys version if I'm honest. But yeah, when it first came in, I was so tired of waiting for it that I just wanted it out. While it was all boxed up, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to sell it. And I sold John Wick, and I regret it. But not so much that I would think about getting it again, because I'm very happy with this version. And then we've got the Asmus Toys, Hateful Eight, John Ruth, and Daisy Domergue. which I love that film. It's actually one of my favourite Tarantino films. And I know what people are going to say, but I prefer it over Django Unchained. Yeah, I know. I know you hate me for saying that, but it's true. I love it more. And then we've got Matrix Neo. We've got a Builder-Butcher custom figure that I have sort of kit bashed from various sources. That is a Rain Man head sculpt, painted and everything. I picked off of his site. Then I used a coat from Iris. She made this one. Fantastic. I think the trousers and the shoes are Redman. The belt was custom built by me. The sash was custom built by me. And the shirt and the jacket, I think, are both Sweeney Todd, believe it or not. So yeah, overall, it is definitely an eclectic mix. Even the knives I made myself. But yeah, I'm very happy with the whole setup. And then we've got Morpheus hanging in the back there. And let's step back for some awesome Predator action. Because we've got the Predator from the first movie, then we've got City Hunter, and then we've got Wolf Predator. Then we've got Scar at the back, and then we've got Elder Predator for Predator 2. And I mix and match these around sometimes. I sometimes put City Hunter at the back and Elder Predator at the front. But Wolf Predator is just such an awesome looking figure. The newest Predator in Hot Toys lineup. And they did a great job with it. Just look great. And I love them all, to be honest. I can't see myself getting rid of any of them. If you had to put a gun to my head and say I had to get rid of one, probably Scar. But the rest of them, no, they're never leaving the collection. I love them too much. They're awesome. Okay, and then we're going to look at Batman shelf. We can see we have some absolute classics from the Jokers, the 89 Batman, the 92 Batman, my kit bashed Catwoman. We've got the DX12 and we've got the DX11. We've got a Justice League Batman that I just sort of, I picked him up. I'm not a big fan of the DCEU, but I've got a Ben Affleck represented in the collection. And then of course we've got Phoenix Joker by Toys Era, and then we've got Two-Face by Hot Toys 2.0, and then we've got this kit bash Scarecrow that I put a video out on that we put together ourselves. And then of course we've got Bumblebee, Optimus Prime from 3.0, and then of course we've got this Blitzwing, which was like a third party thing that, yeah, I did a review on. It drove me mad. A few more Marvel Legends, Shang-Chi, and I think that's an Articulated Icons Ninja. Yeah, Articulated Icons Ninja. Fancy picking that up, seeing what the whole fuss was about. They're okay, they're not too bad. And then of course this weird little thing from a Transformers movie that I picked up, but it's got die-cast pieces in it, so that's cool. And the piece de resistance, my 89 Batmobile. I absolutely love this thing. It really is like the jewel in my crown. Amazing. 89 Batman, just absolutely fantastic. One of the best Hot Toys has ever done. Love it. And then just to finish off, here's the top shelf on this side of the wall. We've got a Marvel Select Catwoman, which was actually sculpted by Rocco, which was actually a custom figure maker in the community, and then he sort of stepped up and was like commissioned by Marvel Select to make this Catwoman and stuff. So that's really cool. It's nice to see people in the community getting their dues. And then of course we've got some Marvel Legends Iron Man helmets, except for the middle one, which is that motorized Mark V. Love that thing, but it's not turned on at the moment, so let's not bother with that just yet. We've got this bust of Batman that I painted myself many moons ago when I was buying Batman statues and just painting them just for the fun of it. And then of course we've got the Figma Predator, which is just an absolutely stunning piece. That being said, it is expensive, so yeah, if you get a chance it's worth picking up, but I would argue that for a fraction of the price the KO version is a little bit, it is also a fair shout. But yeah, you get a chance to pick that up, it's lovely. And then we've got this steampunk wolf that I painted years ago. in anticipation of a steampunk figure. I think that steampunk girl down there is going to go with him at some point. He was going to be an accessory for her, I think. And then, of course, we've got Johnny Depp's character in... I can't remember the bloody names of the films. The Beasts thing. Yeah, Fantastic Beasts are where to find them. That's the bloody name of it. It's okay. It's a nice figure. It's well painted. I really like this skull. These skulls are fantastic. I actually bought extra ones online, but they glow up. Fantastic. So cool. They could work with so many other figures. In fact, I might actually put them down with... what's her name? Lady Death. That might work. Marvel Select Gladiator Hulk. That I sort of did a few touch-up jobs on. Looks a lot better now. I do like it a lot more. And then there was the GD Toys. I can't remember its name now. Something Mouse or something. Which was okay. I will say that was one of the figures I reviewed recently where I was just like, this is a prime example of people cheaping out on bodies when they really should just put a couple more pound into the body. And that would just negate a whole load of problems for people. But it still looks pretty nice. The ZD Toys 1/5 scale Mark III. This is a better indication of what the Hot Toys version will look like when it comes out, with that chest piece being a bit more angled and a bit better than that barrel-chested version they gave us first time around. And then we've got ourselves a kit-bashed Evil Ash Williams, which I put together myself using parts that I found online. Except for the head sculpt, and the knife and the hand bit and the clothing, which all come from the Asmus Toys version. Yeah, like it. Of course, some of the best figures that have ever been released, ever, in the history of ever. You heard me. In the history of ever, the NECA Ninja Turtles 1/4 scale movie figures are some of the best figures that have ever been made. Fight me on that. They are amazing. Honestly, they look like they've been taken off the screen and put on your shelf. No word of a lie. I'm pretty sure they even got painting tips from the original people who did the painting for the suits. So they actually were able to replicate the paintwork perfectly. And the sculpts, look at them head sculpts. Each one with their own personality and look exactly like the character in the film. Can't say fairer than that, can you? They're fantastic. So yeah, I'll fight you to this day that they're some of the best 1/4 scale figures ever released, and they're at a fraction of the price of something most 1/4 scale figures are at, especially ones like Hot Toys make, which are like 500, 600, 700 quid. These were £100 each. Love them. Okay, so overall, what did I think of this year's sort of releases? Well, you know I didn't pick up a lot of Hot Toys, so I can only really go with what I've gotten. I really like Marty, but that's a little bit of bias because it was bought for me for my birthday. But I still like it. I think it's an awesome looking figure. I was really impressed by it. And I do think the Lara is a really good figure. It's not the best. The body lets it down a little bit, and there's some niggling little problems with putting some of the accessories on. But overall, look at the shelf. The look of her on the shelf is just really, really good. Also, like Rorschach, I thought he was really, really good. I thought they did a really good job with Blade Runner. I was really, really quite impressed by that because it could have looked a lot worse than it did. I'm going to say I absolutely love the Mark 46 as well with that stand. Because I'm not too bothered about the Tony Stark head sculpts, I think the trade-off for that stand was well worth it for me. And of course we've got the Mark 1 War Machine. There's a reason it was reissued, and it's because it is still the best. I love it. Absolutely love it. But, oh crap, I nearly forgot him. I nearly forgot you, didn't I, dude? That's such a fun figure as well. It is probably one of the best figures Sideshow's ever released. But honestly, overall, guys, that is it. I haven't bought a lot this year, but I have done some in-house cleaning. You know, I got rid of all the MCU Marvel Legends figures, and I'm really tempted to shift on a few more of my small scales, just so I've got more space for my 1/6 scale figures. So yeah, it could be that the Marvel Legends X-Men collection goes for a walk at some point, because I need the space, and I have run out. You know, everything's really clustered together on my shelves. It's not for everybody, but again, this is the way I collect, and I absolutely love the fact that my shelves are overloaded with figures. It just makes me feel so happy. It's just probably the best description I could say. But yeah, this year it's been a pretty good one. I'm hoping for a good one next year as well. I know a lot of people are down in the dumps at the moment. There's a lot of crap on the news. But honestly, I have to say that I have had a pretty good year. Being allowed to work from home has been an absolute life changer for me, especially with my illness. It has absolutely changed everything. And to be able to work from my space of happiness, this is like my corner of the world where I come to get away from everything, and you know, it's full of all the stuff that I love and appreciate. And now being able to actually work from here has been really special. So I'm really grateful for that. And hopefully it keeps going next year. What do I plan to pick up in the new year? Well, again, Blitzway Hunter is on its way, the 4th one. And I have the Iron Man Mysterio Illusion on the way. That is definitely the last hot toy I have on pre-order or purchased, because I bought it when it was in stock. It wasn't a pre-order. But next year, I'm kind of tempted to give a lot of it a swerve. A lot of my orders are third party now, because you know the Star Wars fans are getting their dues, and it's only about time, to be honest. It's only fair. And the Marvel stuff is sort of like, yeah, I'm happy with where it ended at Endgame, and they just keep adding to it, and I just feel like I don't need to see much more. I kind of had a really good conclusion for all of that in Endgame for me. So yeah, until they bring out something which I just can't live without, you know, I think it'll just be legacy stuff. Now I keep seeing that they're releasing the Mark V suit up version very, very soon. In fact, I think it's just dropping very soon at a secret base, and I wasn't going to pick that up, but we all know I'm a bit of a shit for that kind of thing. I'll say, oh, I'm not buying that, then I'll see reviews of it and I'm just like, yeah, I've ordered it. I'm a hypocrite. What can I say? If it's good, it's good. I'll grab it if I can, but you know, only if it's good. I'm not going to be buying anything to complete any more collections. The last of that was with Endgame Hulk. I only picked him up because I wanted to finish off the Endgame line where I saw it ended, and he completely ends that line for me now. And now that I've put him on the shelf, I can put that whole Endgame thing to bed now and just focus looking forward to new figures from different companies. And I genuinely am more excited for where third party is going, because they're really creeping up into sort of the realms of Hot Toys quality in certain places, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they could do. I still think that third party is really, really stupid by going with cheaper bodies, especially as we're all more than happy to pay another $5-10 to get a better body. So think about that next time, third party companies, because we are happy to pay. But as it is with figures like Lara Croft, if they keep producing figures that look like that, I'm more than happy. But that's it for now, guys. I really, really hope you all have a wonderful new year. I will be back. I will be doing more reviews. I will be doing more stuff. But it was important to try and get the year ended on a high note, to look back at where I've been and where I've gone. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.